Today's subject is titled, It's Mostly in the Mind. Have any idea what we're going to be talking about?
Mental health.
Mental health, that's right. Mental health. We are told in Testimonies, Volume 3, page 184, dealing with the minds is a nice work. She calls it a nice work. In counsel to teachers, parents, and students, page 264, we are told, dealing with human minds is the most delicate work ever entrusted to mortals. So the most delicate work ever entrusted to us is dealing with the minds of man. In Testimonies, volume 5, page 405, paragraph 1, she says it is dangerous to do careless work in dealing with minds. Dangerous to do careless work. We are told the following counsels on hell, page 543, paragraph 4. It says, explain how closely body and mind are related and show the need of keeping both in the very best condition. So we are to explain and know and understand how body and mind are related. And she says this is to be explained. On page 443, paragraph 4 of Testimonies, volume 5, she says, sickness of the mind prevails everywhere. 9/10 of the diseases from which men suffer have their foundation here. Let me ask you guys a question, all you math scholars. What is 9/10?
90%.
9/10. Okay. Some people might be watching this and say, that's a discrepancy, because we've learned that 90% of disease is what we eat. But what do most people do? Overeat, right? With food. Do you know she calls that a mind disease? Did you know that intemperance of eating is a mind disease? We have bulimia. People eat and eat and eat, and then they make themselves. What's the reason why a lot of people overeat? Depression. Depression. Absolutely. That's one of the main causes for overeating. Does depression start here? So even though 88 to 90% has to do with what we put on our fork, a lot of what we're putting on our fork and why we're putting it on there and why we eat as much as we do has to do with the mind. So this is a very delicate subject, but she says it's a nice work. We are told in Testimonies, volume 3, page 183, paragraph 2, few realize the power that the mind has over the body. A great deal of the sickness which afflicts humanity has its origin in the mind and can only be cured by restoring the mind to health. So we're going to be learning how you restore the mind to health. Counsels on Diets and Foods, page 375, paragraph 2. The state of the mind has largely to do with the health of the body. The state of the mind has largely to do with what?
The health of the body.
So the health is important, right? Because the mind affects the body and the body affects the mind. And especially with the health of the digestive organs. So of all the body, the digestive organs are the ones that have the closest correlation to the mind. So digestion, does this have to do with digestion? Does this affect digestion? Absolutely. What's in our mind can affect how we eat, and how we eat can affect our mind. See both ways? We're told in Proverbs 23:7, for as he thinketh in his heart, so is he, right? Absolutely. Many people think, we're told in Spirit Prophecy, many people think themselves to sickness, and they truly are sick. Have you ever heard of hypochondriacs? You know how the doctors check and check and check and they don't find anything? Sister Weiss said, because they think they are sick, they truly are sick. Let me give you an example. There's a woman in Spirit of Prophecy, and I'm going to read you the quote. It's in Testimonies, volume 3, page 69. She thought, back in their day, they didn't bathe as frequently as we do today. You had to go get the wood, you had to go get the water, you had to heat it up. It was a lot of work involved. Today we just step in the tub and turn it on. We have it right there. Well, she was told to bathe frequently. She thought it was going to injure her. Listen what the prophet of the Lord said. If your mind is impressed and fixed that a bath will injure you, the mental impression is communicated to all the nerves of the body. How many nerves? All the nerves of the body. The brain sends this intelligence to the nerves of the body, and the blood vessels, held in obedience to your will, cannot perform their office and cause a reaction after the bath. So, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, correct? You try to tell people to walk. I can't walk. They really believe they can't walk. They can't walk. But if you try to, can you do 30 seconds? Of course they'll say, of course I can. The next day you get them to do a minute. You get them to do 2 minutes. But some you tell them to walk 5 minutes. Even though they can physically, they'll tell you they can't. So mentally they can't. So remember, the mind is delicate. We have to be very careful how we deal with people. The way to have a healthy mind is to have a healthy brain. A lot of depression is related to not properly taking care of our brains. And we're going to be talking about ways that we can do damage to our brains that can affect our mental health. In Ministry of Healing, page 128, paragraph 1, let me go to this one in the book. This is also Pathways to Health and Happiness, but it's in Ministry of Healing, page 128, paragraph 1. We are told, all need to become acquainted with the most wonderful of all organisms. What is that? The human body. They should understand the functions of the various organs and name me some organs.
Liver.
Stomach, liver, heart, exactly. Okay, brain, skin's the largest organ. Okay, so all need to become, should we know physiology? Absolutely. All need to become acquainted with that most wonderful of all organisms, the human body. They should understand the functions of the various organs and the dependence of one upon another for the healthy action of all. They should study the influence of the mind upon the body and of the body upon the mind, and the laws by which they are governed. So this is something she says we are to study and we are to understand. So, as medical missionaries, you're going to be able to understand the laws that govern the influence of the mind on the body and the body of the mind. Who wants to learn that? This is a fascinating subject. Now let's talk about some aspects of lifestyle and how it affects the mind. So we're going to start with some foods. Give some foods that are good for the mind. Just start mentioning some.
Walnuts.
Walnuts. Why walnuts?
I don't know.
Because they're high in essential fatty acids, which are very important for the functioning of the brain. Anyone else? Think of some brain foods. And what does a walnut look like?
The brain.
It looks like a miniature brain. A lot of the foods, the way they look, like kidneys, beans are good for the kidneys. Carrots, you cut it, looks like the inside of an eye. It's good for the eye. Let me tell you, we're going to deal with some diseases. We're kind of going into a treatment in the beginning. We're going to be skipping around. And I meant to say that most of the information I'm sharing with you is from Dr. Magna Parks. She's a Seventh-day Adventist psychologist who teaches true psychology. She exposes Satan's psychology. She deals with the mind. Now, she was a doctor of your nominal Adventism and was giving medicine and everything. She started studying under James Luke, who I'm training under as well, and a few others, and she realized the laws of health, and now she teaches with the laws of health, which is a blessing. And this lady really knows her stuff by the grace of God. And so God has taken her from there and brought her into his health message. She has a lot of information. Now, excuse me? Magna Parks. Dr. Magna Parks. You guys heard of this? Let me erase this. We'll go through this quickly. What am I writing up here? Can you see that? Anxiety. Do you know which plant foods are good for anxiety? This is not the one that works well. This is. You're not going to believe this. Wheat germ. If you know someone suffering from anxiety, have them take 2 tablespoons of wheat germ. There's something in the wheat germ that makes the anxiety go away. Do you know what it is? What is one of the crucial elements for the brain that's needed? B vitamins. This is a very crucial element. Wheat germ is very high in B vitamins. It says the reason being is because it's high in B vitamins. They're very important for the nervous system. If you know anyone who's anxious or nervous, have them take 2 tablespoons of wheat germ in the morning. It balances and invigorates the nervous system due to its high nutritional value. And this comes from Encyclopedia of Foods and Their Healing Power, Volume 2, page 34. Let me go to page 310. I'll just show you a few of these things. This volume, volume 1 and 2 of these encyclopedias, if you guys can get these, I highly recommend them. Because when you have charts and graphs and you can show to the people you're working with, instead of just sitting there talking, they're going to say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. But when you show them this is endorsed by doctors from Loma Linda, and that the research, this is years of research put together, and you show it to them, then they listen. Because when I talk, people don't listen. But when I pull out my books, they're like, let me read that. I said, oh, but I was telling you that. Oh, but the doctor said, but I was telling you what the doctor said. They said, no, I want to see for myself. So people really want to see these. On page 34, there's a whole section on foods for the heart, foods for the brain, foods for the liver, foods for the kidney. It's really good, and it has an index at the top. So we're in foods for the nervous system, and we're going to page 34. Now, dealing with anxiety, we said that wheat germ. These are the foods that are really good for anxiety. Whole grains. Why whole grains? B vitamins. They're full of B vitamins. Banana. This is a good source of vitamin B6, carbohydrates, potassium, and magnesium. Deficiency in these nutrients fosters anxiety. Some people, they get anxiety, you tell them to take wheat germ, or you tell them to eat a banana, and the anxiety goes away. Another thing you can do for somebody who has anxiety when they're having a panic attack, and let me tell you, it's a scary thing. They feel like they're going to pass out or drop dead. They feel like the world is shutting out. They get tunnel vision, they get tunnel hearing, and they start freaking out. Tell them to go walk outside for 15 minutes. The oxygen in the air, for some reason, decreases the attack, and the anxiety goes away. Okay, nuts are very good. They're rich in essential fatty acids, lecithin, phosphorus, and they promote brain function. Vitamin B6, which we said can be found in the whole grains and in the bananas and in the wheat germ. Magnesium is very important. Magnesium deficiency produces irritability and anxiety. Whole grains, legumes, and oil-bearing nuts are good sources of this mineral. A lot of people are lacking, because what's the average American diet? Flesh, right? And fried potatoes, right? These things don't have the magnesium and the minerals that are essential and crucial for good brain health. So it's a lifestyle change. Now, if we go to page 310 in the same book, there's a graph, a chart, I don't know if you can see it, of wheat germ composition. We were talking about wheat germ earlier. Guess what is the highest mineral in wheat germ? Folate. Ever heard of folic acid? People are being told to supplement folic acid. Guess what? They're finding that supplementation of folic acid is very detrimental to health. So if you know somebody who's low in folic acid or low in folate, tell them to eat wheat germ. It's going to help the brain, and it's going to help them